Right, so yesterday you may have seen me walk into a supermarket for the first time in a little while, a new supermarket apart from the usual ones that I go into, right? So I think I went in there once, went for a walk, came back, went to go in again. But on the way going there, obviously I was coming from a certain location and it's quite like a set walk that I normally always go through when I'm walking down West End or whatever. And you know, just to let the management know, there was like a sequence of events with other sort of with third party individuals, right? And one of your members of staff was sort of maybe told to do something that linked like in chain format what I've just sort of gone through, like before I walked in and before I went for my shop and before I walked around, yeah, just like en route to you, and it all linked in nicely. And he was there just to potentially create, a combustion or like some type of commotion or hope, like, you know, it would be an outburst from myself. So I thought, hold on a minute, just like calm yourself, Mark. Just control the outburst. Yeah, right. But it was lined up for me to have an outburst, and it looks like, oh, well, this guy's mad. Well, what's he got switching for? You know. But there was a sequence of events that led up to how he came over, how he approached me, and he put himself in a position for me to respond to him in a rude way and potentially be excluded from the shop was the aim. But it was all like anyone's seen Tipping Point, the game show where people are just tipping you along the way to get you upset, and hopefully they hit you with like something that's psychologically going to have an effect on you, and maybe they get an outburst out of you. And I think like he sort of come very very close, and he almost got me to say what most people would say to him about his features, if you know what I mean, in a flippant way. And I never got sold, but I'm not like that anyway. But I'll teach some of my friends like that, but no one that I don't know, yeah. And it was kind of like set up to kind of like disrespect himself, but also like get me to say something. And I sort of see it coming a mile off because you don't know what was going on before them, right? So I just wanted to say, like, man, you can't have these people walking around, like, or you can, but you know, I remember, like, I came on a Tree Tings and I said, anybody that, like, puts their hands or assaults, like, supermarket staff, people that own, like, them convenience stores around London, anybody that's customer facing, I think there should be, like, a sign on the wall saying, if you abuse staff, like, is a custodial sentence of X amount of years if you put your hands on them. No ifs, no buts. Like, no where's, no maybes, yeah, like, that's what happens. Yeah, like if you touch like staff, like you disrespect them in any way, it's quite stern because these people are facing the public, and in the day, anyone can be anyone, right? And I'm saying like security, anyone. If you put your hands on them, even like London Underground, I think I said whatever. These types of people that are customer facing all the time, they deserve the protection of the law, and the law prosecuting whoever's giving them trouble or whoever puts their hands on them. Yeah, surely, right? Like, just to let you know, like my local supermarket where I go there, man. When I said that, yeah, there was a couple of your staff that were absolutely upset, putting it mildly, that I'd said that. Work out who they are. Like they were pissed off that I said that. They were very, 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 very upset that I said that. They were almost like incensed that I said like you shouldn't, because I think I'm going to tell you why they were upset, but they were like really, really upset that I said that. Such a nice thing, or such a horrible thing, right? And a week or so later, one of your staff tried to cause a big commotion with me, was saying they were the boss of Tesco's, and you know, whatever else went on, and was raising their voice, trying to scream at me and all the rest of it, and acting like they were on the street when they were in their uniform, right? That was just because, like, a week or so previous, I said, anyone that like touches supermarket stuff, like, they shouldn't like be able to like get away with it, just with a caution. Like, even if you're apprehending them, like, you should have some type of protection, because you don't know who you're dealing with in this world. But there was an element of your workforce that weren't happy that I said something like that. Yeah. So sometimes, like, I've realized, like, you have these people like in the supermarkets that are like, they're not no part of what goes on. And sometimes they're my brother, they're like my real friend, like, but they have to stay distant, and they're sitting there watching the gang of sometimes staff, I'm afraid to say, sort of circling me and trying to get a rise out of me. Yeah. And sometimes they work with third parties that don't work there. And, you know, when I walked into a new supermarket for the first time in the West End, they were waiting for me to run lines of Inception and games to try and get a rise out of me, you know. But on the funny side, right, there was quite a few like females that were trying to get a rise out of me in another way, you know. Like, so can you imagine? I've got two things going on. Like, I've got women sort of trying to circle me in a nice way, but then I've got these men, and especially like their staff as well, trying to like antagonize me a little bit, you know. And all I'm thinking is, I'm not thinking of me. I'm thinking like, can you imagine, like, there's a female connected to me, or my family, or whatever. I'm walking with someone that I want respected whilst they're with me. I'm just looking and imagining, wow, would you be doing that, or would you be doing that? Would they notice? I notice sometimes everything, but I wouldn't want them to notice, because there's nothing I'll ever mention whilst I'm with them. Do you know what I mean? Nothing at all. There'll be none. I'll be talk about none of this to a person that I'm actually standing there with. Doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? Anyone. I'm not like that, yeah, right? I don't do that. Yeah, I'll say it online and act like no one's ever seen it, right? Do you know what I mean? But yeah, like, I don't expect that. Like, I'm walking into a store in West End, and they're trying to antagonize me, and then they try to like twist it with another company, and trying to rubbish another company that I might be dealing with in the future, and try to like make me confused about whether I should work with them or use them in that sort of way, you know. So there was a lot more to it going on, and it was all quite well linked. Now the thing is, like, man, I don't go on about the positivity, because people do it reverse on the other side. But sometimes safety, we're naturally that way. We look out for like things that are maybe negative sometimes, you know, and we don't focus on the positive. But I'll show you the positive. But it was outweighed again by these guys like just trying to like, do you know what I mean? It was slight, but it's obviously to get me to act unhinged, and for them to act cool. Do you know what I mean? So they get people to nudge me along the way, and then they do something at the end to make me get upset, and maybe I'll have an outburst and I can look like I'm crazy or whatever. Hence the reason, like, when I was walking away from the scene and a man tried to walk into me, like, do you know what I mean? You saw that, right? And he directly tried to, because of like, you know, that he would have known what was going on before, and it was just for me to go, what are you doing, or whatever, or make a commotion. Do you know what I mean? But I saw it all sort of coming, and I'm used to like these guys doing these tricks, but I don't expect like you to be allowing your staff to be in on this sort of stuff and be doing these sorts of things after what I've said, you know. So yeah, I've had bare harassment around supermarkets, man, but I'm gonna like, I don't want to video it, I don't want to like speak about people, I don't want to speak online, and the only reason why I don't sometimes is because sometimes people do negative things, right, but they're really positive, and vice versa, and I sometimes can't tell, and I just gotta like gauge, you know, sometimes. But I'm letting you know, like, it was a controlled like sort of scene yesterday from myself, if you know what I mean. Not like I was acting, but I was in full control. But it's just like, I wanted to see what the person's reaction would be. Whether they were going to like be ready to like, I don't know, roll on the floor or something if I just spoke to them or something like that. But they were looking for me to like respond in a sort of aggressive way off of like lines of games that people were playing beforehand, with them being on the end of it, you know, and then they could say, "Oh, I don't know what's happened with this guy," and walk over to the crowd of staff that were there to back him up and say, "Right, he just switched on me." But no, you don't know like what they were doing beforehand, and also like the mobbing around the toilet as well, and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it was a lot going on, all at the same time. Do you know what I mean? And I just wanted to get it out there. And it will link on to the next thing I have to say as well.